to utilize the box, we're going to go to our index.ts, and we're going to import the box from the box and import our data from our data. Now typically, let's say we're working on the total screen after they received all the items, and we're probably going to want like total units, total unit cost, total cases, total case cost, probably the cost of all purchased items, and then the number of those, probably total returns, or total free items, also the totals, and then total returns. So once you see the first couple of these, it'll just be like a rinse and repeat kind of a thing. So we won't do all of them, but we'll cover all of the basics. So let's say we just want to see, I want to know how many total units that I bought. So I'm not going to include returns, and I'm not going to include free items because I didn't buy the free items. Only want to know what I bought. You could say free items could be included in this number, but we can do this however it is that we see fit. If the customer doesn't like it, they'll ask us to change it, and we will. So let's just start with const total units, and we're going to take the box and just feed it the data. Now here is where the box gets awesome. So let's get rid of the free items. But first, let's just get items that have units. So if there are 0 units, but there's cases, we're going to say that's a separate function. We're just wanting to get the units. So how do we do that with the box? Well, the box has 2 functions. It has a map and a fold. So you can probably guess we're going to use the map. And like I said, I always use X's and Y's, so I'm just going to say X. And what do I want to do? So X is going to be an array of all of our data. So it's going to be all of these items. I just want to get the ones that have units. So typically what I would do, go back to my index, I apologize. I'm going to say take that X array, X.filter, and then I'll just use Y. So I'm always using X's and Y's. And I'm going to directly return Y.units is greater than 0. So now TypeScript is complaining. So how do we solve that? I mean, we could come over here and just say, all right, we'll give it an any. And then Y could be an any. But that's like cheating for TypeScript, because now it doesn't really know what's available on Y. I mean, it doesn't know that it has units and cases and stuff like that. Just the IntelliSense isn't there. So we wanted to know everything about this. So to do that, we probably need to type our data so that this code can know what a type it is that we're passing into it. So let's put that back so it goes red up here. Let's go back to our data. So let's create an interface. We'll just call it iData. And it's going to have a UPC, which is a string, a description, which is a string, a price, which is a number, cases, which is a number, units, which is a number, free, which is a number, return item, which is a number, and cost, which is a number. So we've typed our data out, and we're going to tell our data that it is of type iData array. Now make sure you didn't leave something out on one of these records. If you did, then it will tell you. But other than that, I think we should be good. So our data's typed. So now if we come back over here, and we say that we are going to pass in the data, it already knows it's of type iData, so we don't have to do anything there. And we're going to say this is going to be, well, first, let's import our iData. Okay. And then X is going to be of type iData array. So it's pretty happy. Now when we filter it, Y is going to be of type iData. It's going to be one particular object of our data array. So now TypeScript is going to be smart enough to say, hey, you have cases, cost, description, free, price, return item, units, and UPC. Okay. Now, one caveat before we end this video and pick back up. I don't typically get my data looking like this. I'm typically hitting a REST API. I'm getting this array back as JSON, but typically a lot of these things could be strings. Like this could very well be a string. And this could be a string. And you can already see TypeScript is breaking on us. It's like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Make them all strings. So we could cover for that by saying, like, let's just go look at price and say, if I made price a string, well, we're doing units, so let's just do units. How about that? We'll keep it, so that's a string. Okay, so that one's happy. And now this one's mad because it can't be applied to a string. So an alternative that we could just do, let's just go up here and say we're going to create a type. For now we'll call it generic. That's a terrible name to use, but it's going to be a string or a number. And then we will just say that we'll put this back to a number. And we'll double click, Control D, 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 and we'll just type in generic. So now all of these could be strings or numbers. We don't totally care. So give us a little bit of flexibility. Now it doesn't fix this problem. But typically what I would do here is I would say this is supposed to be a number, but it could be a string. So I'm just going to parse int. And one would think that I would be happy with that. Argument of type generic is not assignable to parameter of type string. Type number is not assignable to type string. So a quick fix for that, and maybe it's a little messy, but I don't really mind it. It gives me the flexibility to handle numbers or strings, whatever they're sending back. And sometimes it's consistent, sometimes it's not. Sometimes I'm always the one sending it back, so I'm in control of that. But I want to have a little level of flexibility. So all we need to do here is just say as string, worst case scenario, we're parsing an int as a string. So now we have type safety on our data. We have type safety on our box. And we don't know what this looks like yet. But I'm going to stop here to let you just digest that. And then we'll fire this thing up and we'll see what else we can do with the box.